Try to limit maybe to 2 minutes, quicker if you can. But, I always love to be the moderator because, I know this is not a presidential debate, but we're scientists and we're data driven. So I have to know, where did you get the stat that 40% of the free and reduced lunches are wasted money?
Well, part of that is from data that I've reviewed, and part of that is my own experience.
What data? Yeah. No fair to say data I've reviewed without telling us what data.
Well, I cannot cite a specific source. I cannot for the 40%, because the 40% is what we call in engineering a swag. In some places it's less, in some places it's more. It tends to be a little bit less in a parochial school, and it tends to be a little bit more in a hardscrabble school district that's in a poor neighborhood that's a public district. So it's a very wide, basic 40%.
Is it kids that don't deserve help are getting help, or are we feeding them lunches that are overpriced? Or 40% is a pretty big figure.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And when my daughter was in elementary school and I saw the amount of food wasted, it was unconscionable. It was absolutely unconscionable. Now, that was
wasted in a free and reduced lunch program?
Sure. And it has to do with, you have to take the milk. I don't want the milk, but you have to take the milk. That's part of the rules. You take the lunch, you have to take the milk with it. But I don't want the milk. I can't tell you how many times I've heard kids say, I don't want a milk. Well, then throw it away if you don't want it. It happens every day.
I guess my first question back to you would be, how did you know they're at risk? Because there's no difference in the food line when they go through. They're not marked there, unless you know personally who all those students are. It would be very hard to ascertain that number. That would just be a question I would ask, because I don't understand that.
I've taught in public, private, and parochial schools. I've taught in the Kansas City, Missouri School District, and I've taught in Blue Valley. I taught in lockup. I taught in Topeka, USD 501. I taught at the Kelly Detention Center. It was the first time young men are in lockup. And when you see the difference between the haves and the have-nots, it's like night and day. And the night and day adage just, it doesn't do it justice. It is so different in a poor and hardscrabble school. It breaks your heart when you see how much wasted time, wasted food, wasted effort, wasted everything, when we need to get these kids early. And so I hope we have a question here about small reading groups, because that's the key to turning this whole thing around and welcoming people into our schools. I mean, that's key.